Hey everyone, welcome to today's video where we're going to talk about data types in JavaScript. I'm Jose Batei and I'm going to dive into this topic briefly because you may know that data types it's a wide topic in JavaScript and it involves a lot of technology coming now. And I'm gonna just show you a few things about this. For today, we're gonna introduce and tell you a brief about data types, and also after that, we are going to go through the mutable data types and immutable data type. Actually, it will be about categorizing the data type you have in JavaScript, showing you, giving you which one is mutable and why, and which one is immutable and why. So stay tuned while you are diving into it. Okay, by definition, a data type in, in JavaScript is a classification or categorization of data that determines what kind of values a variable can hold and how those values behave. What do I mean by that? It means data type, for you to store a value for data use in JavaScript, you must create a variable, right? And for you to create a variable, actually in low-level languages which are C, C++, once creating a variables, you have to specify which type of data it will be storing. Let's say I want to store age, I will store an age as it's a number, so I have to store it in a number. Or if I want to call a name as a sequence of characters, I should store it in a string. So this data type determine the classification, like it's trying to classify the variables you are going to hold in there. And then in JavaScript, they say like the JavaScript is the loosely typed language. Why? It's loosely typed language because in JavaScript you are don't you like meaning that the variable are not explicitly declared. What do I mean by this? Most of time, once you are creating a variable in JavaScript, you can use late to create a variable and then you can call maybe this variable age. And then I can say this age is like 50 51. And this one, I will be creating a variable called age and this has 51. But in the language like Java and C++, for you to be able for you to be able to create a variable, you must give it a class, let me say class or a category. If maybe I want a string, I will create a variable called string, and then I will give it a name which I may say it's equal to Josh, equal to Josh. So this one I have to specify it, but in languages like programming, the JavaScript, which are loosely typed languages, so I have to just create it and then have a container. And once I'm passing in or I'm initializing it, that's when maybe the compiler can say that okay, this variable is this type. But once I'm calling data type, this data type what I'm mean is the real value I'm be storing in. Those are data types. Like if I say the string, or if I say late, which will be inferred to number, those are data types. They say instead the data type is dynamically determined at runtime based on the kind of the assigned to the phone. That's what I was talking about. In JavaScript, once the application is running, as I specify that let age equal to 50, that's when it will be changed. Maybe it will be given certain number saying like, it will be given a type which will be maybe number or something like float, whatever. So that's how it is. But in language like C, C++, most of the time you have to specify this out at the side. You can say it's a int, or you can even say it's a float. So this is a brief introduction of a data type. And in JavaScript, we do have two categories of data type. We are having primitive data type, which are kind of basic, and these are number, string, Boolean, Null, and Undefined, and symbols, which have been introduced lately with the ECMAScript like version 6. After apart from the primitive data types, most of the time these they are basic, as I may say. I will tell you why in a bit. The second, there is non-primitive. And non-primitive, they are a bit complex. They are a bit complex, and they are categorized in one, but they just most of the time they are just calling them like free. But most of the time, or in some books or some article, you may see that they're telling you it's only object because the arrays also happen to be an object. So guys, let's tackle the last point about today's video, and it's all about mutable and immutable data types. Actually, to categorize these two, immutable, more mutable, they are non-primitives. Actually, all non-primitives are mutable, and primitives are immutable. It means once you create them, you can change them. Okay, let's see the definition of mutable and non-mutable to not go far before we start giving examples. Okay, they say mutability refers to the ability of an object or a value to be changed after it is created. In languages with mutable data types, you can modify the state of an object and the changes are reflected in the original object. Okay, let's see an example here, right? I'm having this object definition here. Let me try to copy and paste it in the Visual Code so we could see the real thing. I'm having my array. As you may know, array is the collection of elements. Most of the time they are all primitive. The elements you can fold in an array, they can be primitive and non-primitive, because you can have something like an object here, which may hold maybe a name. Oh, sorry guys, a name. And let's say Yehoshu'a. Okay, this is the valid array, right? So me having this one, I can change. I can say I'm going to push. This push is an array method which will help me to append an element here at the end. And then if I push and if I try to console log this one, I will be having my array plus the elements are pushed lastly, which is 4, right? And these changes will be applied to the original object, which is the array. And as you know, once we are saying let's mutable, we are telling the computer to reserve for us a memory, a space in the memory which will hold a collection of information. And the collection of information, I can say it's limited. We don't really know how many elements will fall in, right? We don't really know how many elements will be in there. So we can push as many as possible, and all of them will be folded at the original place. Let's take another example, by the way. There is another example here in objects. Another example in objects. Let's say, let me also paste it here. I'm having my object, and then I'm having this my key and my value. I can add in a new one, a new key as a key, and a value. I can add as many as possible because these take collections. So I don't really know the limit of them, but what I know is that they can be as many as possible. And this is very good. And once I'm doing this, it's going to apply to the original array. It means going to the specific object in the memory and then applies those changes. Okay, guys, this is a bit interesting. This is a bit interesting. Those are about the mutable, right? This is about mutable. It means after defining it as this one, you can still add in, push in as many as possible. Let's tackle the other one, immutable data types. Immutable, by definition, is the refer to the inability of an object or value to be changed after it's created. Okay, let's go also with the example of this one before giving you the similarity or the difference between these two. Okay, here I'm creating my number and I'm calling it 42, right? And down here, I'm trying to reassign the value 42. What do you think will happen, guys? Okay, I believe that okay, you are sure with me that if I say console.log number, that this one is going to output 42 43. I mean, this one is going to respond 43 because this was the last one to review. Yeah, that's true. But these changes here is not made to the original. Is not made to the original space, because let's say in the memory, maybe this one has the address. Let's say I don't know. Let's say this one, right? Sorry, this is the address of this one. Once I'm doing this one will point to a different address. It can be this one, but it should point to a different address. Actually, JavaScript being a high language, this notion is not there. But in languages like C and C++, that's where they have introduced the stuff of pointers, where you can point to some addresses and then manipulate the addresses of the variables. So there you can things are a bit clear, but that's the point. The point here is the address of this one, at the creation, and address of this one at the assigning it another value. They are totally different. It means these two here are two different objects in the memory. You will have a memory for the number with 42, and you have another memory for a number with 43. Actually, this can point to this address and this one will point to this address. It means the changes are not applied to the original object, but it creates a copy of the original object and then assigning in, yeah, this one. It's like changing the name, just changing this name and then assigning another value, but not at the same location actually. So that's how the difference between that's the difference. While the other one, the changes are being made. The changes are being made to the original object as this one. If maybe let's say this one was as 002. Once I'm doing this one will be applied. This one will be applied to the same address here in the memory. It means just taking the same address, adding in this number at the end. But the other one is the same. Even for strings, it's also the same. Even for string, as a string is also immutable, it's also the same. Once I create my value is immutable string equal to hello, and I'm saying like new string immutable plus string. It means this number here is still there, and once we are performing this operation here, like we are not changing the normal, I mean the original array, as we are making a copy. Now this become now understandable, right? It means like even if we want to change the value, like doing this is like pretty much doing the same thing, probably doing the same thing as this, right? Like doing the same thing like this, and then we say wow, actually this pretty much the same, right? You agree with me that this is the same, right? And this how like a bit different. It means even though we are doing this, we are not performing these changes at the same address. That's what the difference have to understand. It means the video of today is all just taking you through under the hood of how these are performed. Once you are creating a non-primitive variable or a mutable variable or a mutable data type, you have to know any changes you are making is just applied to the original value. Here I can say I'm going to say my mutable array dot pop. I'm going to pop this one at the original address. So guys, that will be all for today's video. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. See you for the next video.